To communicate is a basic human tendency. What do you think happened before language and writing was invented by human beings? Human beings were able to read and write. All of history is now recorded. Welcome to ENARK Education. I am Madhura Gokte Pusarkar, and today we are going to talk about what is phonics and why is it important to teach children phonetics. To communicate is a basic human tendency, and to refine this tendency, human beings have always strived very hard. What do you think happened before language and writing was invented by human beings? Would we know how people communicated? What stories did the older members of the community tell their children by the fireside? What kind of songs did they sing? What were the natural calamities experienced by them? How did they travel? How did they navigate their group? It is a blank slate. We simply have to guess what would have happened before language came into existence. But the moment human beings were able to read and write, all of history is now recorded, and one can go back and study how humans communicated thousands of years ago. The discovery of writing marks as a key moment in the period of history and of human development. These are the petroglyphs, meaning rock carvings, and we found them near Ratnagiri. These rock carvings date back to 10,000 BC, around the time of Mahabharata. To give you perspective, right next to the petroglyphs is a site where it seems that some human beings lived in this region. Communication, writing, lifestyle and cultures look very different around 40 to 50,000 years ago. What emoticons are used today on our social media and chats seem to be inspired from the early human beings. Just think of this. Do you know who painted the walls on the caves to communicate a story? Do you know who wrote the symbols we use today in our writing? Do you know who was the one who made the final decision of the alphabet system in English and our other local languages? It is so mesmerizing to just simply think of how human beings came together to form the various languages we use today. How every culture and region had a different language. How it spread across the world from a single source, and humans tried to better it and mold it according to their convenience. Before we go ahead, let's take a moment and be grateful to all those individuals who have worked on to developing the different languages that have ever existed on our earth. Languages that have disappeared, new languages that are appearing, and the languages that we use today for optimal use. Imagine if you are learning Marathi or Bengali or French or Spanish, you are opening doors to a rich literature, culture, food, prayers, systems of that particular language. Research also says that the more number of languages you learn, the more the neurological connections in the brain. Imagine the kind of connections that are happening in a baby's brain when that little one is just listening, speaking, and learning that language. Let's go in for a fun fact. If you speak to a child under about 6 years in different languages, the child will be able to learn and absorb the languages with all its complexities. But the same for adults, it is nearly impossible. A child has a capacity to absorb and process and reproduce over 6 to 8 languages under the age of 6. Understanding this capacity of the brain development of a child, it is extremely important to give rich language to the child. Rich in words, rich in vocabulary, sentence formation, expressions, grammar, literature, art, culture, and the variety. Technically speaking, rich in phonology, syntax, semantics, and pragmatics. The moment we as educators and caregivers speak to a child with love and a sense of empathy, the child is absorbing a love for language and learning the language with joy. Let us understand what is phonetics and some technical terms that we as educators need to be aware while teaching English to our children. The definition of phonetics: the study and classification of speech sounds that are universally spoken. Definition of an alphabet: a set of letters arranged in a fixed order. For example, A, B, C, D, E, F, all the way up till Z. Definition of letter: a letter is a symbol that represents a sound in its written form. For example, K, L, M, H, P, etc. Did you know the word alphabet comes from the Greek language? Observe this image. The letters in blue are called alpha letters. Their formation looks like the alpha and the pattern moves from left of the center line. The letters in pink are called beta letters. Their formation looks like the beta and the pattern moves from the right of the center line. The combination of the word alpha and beta made the word alphabet. U, V, W, X, Y, and Z are letters in green and are Roman letters that were added to the system much later. Now, can you make a list of the alpha and beta letters in our alphabet system? There have been many influences on the English language. Words from different languages have been adopted, and hence sometimes the language seems to be non-phonetic. By that, I mean we do not say a word the same way as it is spelled. Some words have the same spelling, but a different pronunciation and meaning. Say, for example, the word live or live. We live together as a community. The cricket match is streaming live on the television. There are two kinds of ways in which we introduce English to children. The name of the letter, which is A, B, C, and D, and the sound made by the letter, which is A, B, K, D. When we are teaching phonetics of English language, we are simply teaching the sound associated to the letter. Why are we teaching the sounds? Because it is the sounds of the letters that the child blends to read or write. Is it important to teach only the names of the letters? The child certainly needs to know the names of the letters of the alphabet, but to read and write, it is more important to know the sound that each of the letter makes. Let us look at the steps involved in learning to read and write. Learning the letter sounds and key sounds, learning letter formations, blending, which is mostly used in reading, identifying the sounds in words used in writing, learning the tricky words or sight words, words that are not phonetically built and can be read only by looking at them. If you ask me, why is it important to teach phonetics? What are the main aims of teaching phonetics? I would say to learn the relationship between letter and sound, to be able to read and write effectively. Phonetics also helps to recognize both familiar and unfamiliar sounds. It helps in improving punctuations, improving spellings, and by the end of it, understanding the rules of the language for effective communication. Many of us who haven't been taught phonetics in school always wish to have learnt it in our younger days. Now, as we go along with our sessions, you will learn simple rules and achieve optimum results for the children in your classroom. I hope you enjoyed the session and I look forward to sharing more of such information with you. That's me signing off. I will see you the next time. Bye.